Okay, hello, Tyler Bryden here. I hope everything's going well. Today, I want to take a look at a significant raise in the speech recognition AI space. And if you know anything about me, you know I love this space. There's a company called Deepgram that completes a $72 million Series B. If I read, what their sort of messaging on Crunchbase is, and Crunchbase maybe lags behind a little bit. Deepgram helps enterprises unlock the potential of their audio data with custom-trained speech recognition for accuracy and scale. Deepgram's deep learning speech recognition system searches for keywords and transcripts by sound and text within audio and video files, used for transcribing calls, meetings, and voicemails, for searchable notes, providing businesses with a fast, high-accuracy speech-to-text on an easy-to-use API. The company was founded in 2015 and is headquartered in San Francisco. I've been following this company for a long time. I have used their API, I have played around with their speech recognition system. This is not something that I use on an ongoing basis. There's a couple of problems with specifically sort of the integration layer, but overall the actual technology is certainly an incredible feat that they've pulled off. And it's in a market that there are a lot of incumbents. Like when people think of speech recognition, if I go actually to the bottom of the screen, I can look at the comparisons here, and we've got Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Nuance, then there's some legacy companies like Speechmatics, and then also some well-funded companies like Assembly AI, Symbol AI, who are going down this path. And people are certainly, very interested in the space. We talk about this idea, and this is something that at Speak AI here that we work with all the time. This idea of like dark data, and so much of it being just like essential for business insights, but unable to be able to mine it and get those insights, and companies really sort of struggling with that. So from that perspective, what they've really focused on, and I think they're going to go beyond that, is, but at a core level, is this idea of accuracy and cost. And in both those, we have seen, those sort of promises delivered on. It is definitely inexpensive. It's still competing. If you're not a developer and you don't want to interact with an API, you're still competing. I think it's probably Otter AI might be out competing on the actual lowest cost. And then the accuracy level. And we've done tests where we, for example, run Amazon Transcribe versus Azure versus Google Speech to Text versus Deepgram, and seeing the output, and from a sort of spelling, grammar, and then I would say also the punctuation and formatting of that content. I've really seen Deepgram be successful in that. And what they've also done, and this is what they talk about in the article here, is they've started to add a lot more on top. And this is what we've also looked at Speak AI, is like transcription, speech to text, speech recognition. It helps you solve one problem, but then it just opens up a Pandora's box of more problems, which is just way too much data to be able to handle. And with all this sort of new information, you need other ways to process that. And so this extraction layer that they have built out, releasing, is definitely a valuable one. Now, a couple things on this actual raise. Part of it was announced in 2021, which I do remember. I'll pull that up. 25 million. It's obviously in a very distressed time that companies are sort of raising money right now. So I'm interested to know, again, like, was this a case of so the cream rising to the top, and this made sense, and their growth is so insane. They've processed a trillion words that investors with all this sort of dry powder had nowhere else to really put their money, and so it flowed to Deepgram. And congrats for being the cream of the crop in that regards. And so we've got Alkeon Capital Management who led that round, and so pretty simple website here, but obviously has a ton of capital. And then they have some pretty big. I knew they did, but like in pretty big returning investors. So Blackrock, Tiger Global, Citi Ventures, Nvidia, Tiger Global, Y Combinator. So that's a huge, repertoire of great investors as part of this. Now, one of the things that was super interesting, I think, here is they talk about sort of these phase changes, or the way that they're looking at it. So phase 0, invented a way to structure and train an end-to-end deep learning model to process voice data. Phase 1, so that was phase 0. Phase 1, improved the system, produced transcripts with near human accuracy. No, there's, I think, and they put in brackets here, there's a lot of challenges with no speech recognition engine. Have I seen it be flawless? But it's, pretty incredible where we're at in terms of that. And then phase 2 with the AI generated transcripts more legible. They started formatting, so numbers, punctuation, speaker separation, and then sort of formatting that. And that's where I've seen a lot of success in sort of the system that they've produced. And now this is super interesting, phase 3. So these are, at Speak AI, we work with, I would say, the more non-technical developers, but within the same space. And the way that they're moving in phase 3 is definitely aligned with the problems that we're seeing in the space and the requests that we're getting asked. So language detection and translation. So for example, challenges where people are switching languages between languages mid-conversation. That's a big problem within speech to text. And then just actually taking one and then translating it accurately into another is a big problem. Sentiment analysis, and we have sentiment analysis within Speak AI. It's fantastic, but a lot of that sentiment analysis weight is on what's being said and not how it's being said. So they specifically identify tonal signals that reveal sentiment, and so if they can achieve that accurately, that is a huge ask that we've seen over and over again. Automatic summarization. This one's very sort of common thing that we've seen in the space. A couple companies, Assembly AI, from a developer perspective, have worked a lot on this. Otter from a more consumer version of this, of sort of making a summary of your meeting. But overall, great. You have a conversation, you have many conversations, whatever these assets are, some sort of summarization is valuable to streamline the process of review or making decisions. And so again, a piece of alignment that we've seen. And this next one here is which is basically speaker identification. This is actually one of the biggest problems we're seeing that just makes so much sense to be able to solve. Now, problems with it, which is, so the problem is speaker identification. And so the idea is that, and again, now Otter is doing this on a consumer level very well, but from our perspective, a lot of this sort of speech recognition systems are sort of disengaged with this process. And so if you record a conversation and then you transcribe it, and then you record another transcription, there is no sort of connection between you as a speaker in those two uploads. And what they are now doing is basically registering a speaker profile and identity that is a unique speaker across many files. And so the idea here is if you have 100 conversations and you label yourself once, it would actually have that sort of signature, a fingerprint of who you are, and would allow you to then automatically update the speaker across all those files. Which, from a from a research perspective, if it's a moderator versus people who are in focus groups, if it's an internal, who's in internal meetings and you want to see who is speaking, a lot of applications of this that opens up, really powerful sort of analysis and filtering and summarization, and solves, to me, what is one of the bigger problems in the space. So I really do like where they're moving for this phase 3. The last one being topic detection. I think this is another one, Assembly, Symbol, are working on something that we've worked on with a lot of the sort of topic detection on a more general purpose engine being relatively generalized, not that specific, and in that case, not that valuable. There are systems that allow you to do it from a more training, personalized model perspective, or maybe that company is within a specific industry. I think of a great company called Chatter Research, which is doing topic identification specifically related to retail. So, in that case, it's so tailored, it's super valuable. And if they can bring topic detection from a more generalized layer to being specific across industries, super valuable there. A lot of companies sort of say they're doing topic detection, but really they're just doing keywords and phrases extraction. So some of these features currently available in beta, and then other ones are coming soon, and then they just sort of have a little sort of summary here, which is nice. So their CEO is apparently physics, like dark matter particle detection. So that's super interesting. It's super interesting to know that they've been working on this since 2015, and then see the level of scale that they're at now. I've got some links if you're interested in following them. If you want to learn more, always some good sort of resources and things to consider. I think they are with this raise, they're definitely, I've seen also their sales team work. They're formidable. They're continuously working. They're passionate about the problems they're solving, and I think all of this makes sense why Deepgram was able to complete the $72 million Series B round. And I think there's some great nuggets in here about competing against big companies, getting investors on board and getting them to repeat, especially in a market like this, and then where the future of sort of speech recognition, and then what comes out of speech recognition with natural language processing, where we're headed. And if you can look at these pieces here, a lot of things start to give you opportunities that you can execute on. So I hope you got some insight out of this. Congrats, Deepgram. Excited to continue following the progress. Hopefully getting to use you in some more ways at some point, and appreciate your focus and passion around a space that I'm obviously very passionate about myself. Thank you.